Okay, I would like to call to order a meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust for March 2nd, 2021. I'm going to read the statement for the remote meeting. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law 30A, Section 18, and Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the North Andover Affordable Housing Trust will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 99 or Verizon Channel 28 or online at www.northandovercam.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. So does somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes of February 9th? Hi, George.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Who was that? Right, Rob, did you second?
No, Dick Valancourt.
All right, I wasn't watching.
Joan motioned and I seconded.
It's very difficult to take minutes and run the meeting at the same time. Okay, do we want to do a roll call vote?
Bernard, yes.
Fitzgibbons, yes.
Lawson, yes.
Christie is a yes as well.
George, you're on mute.
I'll jump in. Richard Valancourt, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lori. What's the motion?
For the minute.
Yeah, I approve it. I read them this afternoon. I approve. Yeah, aye.
Okay, and I am an aye, so that's unanimous. Perfect. Okay, so the next order of business is the Affordable Housing Fact Sheet. And we have Greg Lane here who wanted to give some input. He is working with the Royal Crest Development parties. And I don't know, George, if you have any data yet. And don't worry, I didn't expect you to, because I know you were going to try to collect some information, and we do have somebody that can actually do the fact sheet and create it. They just need the information. But Greg, if you have any input that you'd like to give on that, or.
Well, I'm amongst experts, so I'm not sure how much input I can actually provide that's valuable, but I certainly would be happy to be a resource for you guys if you guys are looking for facts and figures and stuff for us to track down. I do have a couple of studies. I can email them to Lori with some facts and figures. You may have this information just about both regional and specifically North Andover growth and housing projections. So I will do that.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, no, and I kind of wanted to join to listen to you guys. Certainly happy to share my thoughts on how we're positioning, particularly the Royal Crest development, but just affordable housing and workforce housing in general and the benefits of it. So I thought I would just chime in as you guys develop your discussion and your talking points.
Okay. Do you, I do have a question. So is your group going to be preparing some kind of fact sheet of their own in anticipation of, approvals that you need to get with the town and informing residents and things like that. Is that something you guys are planning on doing, or you're not sure yet?
Yeah, we plan on putting that in. We have a website where we're going to be continually updating it, and there will be a section for the housing component, and specifically the 40B and workforce components, and then there'll be, along with information about the specifics of those components of the project, we'll have a frequently asked questions section where we'll be addressing things.
Okay. All right, George, do you have anything to add?
Well, Greg, you work with you're with Trident Financial, right?
I'm a consultant for Trinity, yeah.
Or Trinity Financial, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I think we exchanged email. I sent you an email and asked about the breakdown in projected sales prices versus number of bedrooms for the various housing components, the market rate, the affordable, the 40B, the over 55.
You did, yes. That was, you and I were going back and forth, exactly.
And I guess maybe I should contact you again or something, because with all due respect, I think that well, first of all, I'm part of a neighborhood group now. Well, I'm exposed to, I would say, neighborhood opposition to the group. Using the term neighborhood loosely, because I think people come from all over town. But anyways, I'm sure you're aware that there is opposition to the project because it's too big, because there's too much traffic, all the usual reasons for opposing any new project. And one benefit that your project has that I see that some of the other big developments in town don't have is you do have an affordable housing component, and you do have an over 55 housing component, which are clearly identified needs in the master plan and the housing production plan. And I should maybe talk with you about how to present that data or something, because that's, our trust is also looking for a way to kind of sell the need for affordable housing. I'm sorry if I've gone on too long, but
No, that's I appreciate that was sort of what kind of inspired me to jump on the call, was to be able to have that discussion with everyone, and happy to continue it with you after the meeting for sure. As you pointed out, it's the project as proposed has a variety of different housing types, and it's how those all work together. And I think that kind of is a key component for any successful discussion in a community on the benefits of housing, is to know how the whole thing works together. And so just having traditional affordable housing standalone somewhere is never as successful as an integrated community as Royal Crest, depending on putting the scale aside. Just having a mix of units, the way that Royal Crest has proposing it, our 40B component has the units right in the building. There's no difference between one unit and another, and it just creates the type of atmosphere that you would want in North Andover to meet those needs.
Let me just say one more thing. What motivated that question to you, though, is I was trying to, what I don't know and what I was seeking to learn is that your overall marketing plan, are you hoping to ride the escalator on median home price and have top price units for sale? Or is your ambition a little more modest and you're aiming below the median price? Because both plans also point out that the median housing cost in North Andover is pretty high compared to Essex County, compared to the state, compared to the needs. And so are you looking to come in above that median, or are you looking to come in below? Obviously, the 40B is going to be below. But that was what I was thinking of when I asked that question to you.
Got it. So that's the benefit of the quote unquote scale of the project, and the one of the density of the project allows us to bring a product that is what one would call, you got the 40B component, but the other part is the workforce component. So a component, a housing type that someone that is more affordable and attracts young, and particularly as younger folks move out of Boston, which is only being sped up by COVID, where they have a place where they can enter into the into the community at a price point that they can afford. And then they can become teachers and firemen and work locally in the community at a variety of different places.
Right.
So,
well, I'll communicate with you after
sure.
In the coming days. I don't mean in the 15 minutes after the meeting, but sometime, and maybe we can quote get together, unquote.
Yeah,
Sure.
George, maybe the two of you can have a discussion at your convenience about, the data that we want to include and what they're looking at. And you might want to also check in with Andrew Shapiro. He's actually the one that's going to put like the pretty flyer together. He has the technology and the capability and to do all that. He may also be able to help with numbers. So if you can do that, then maybe we could have a draft put together for our next meeting, say a month from now, that we can discuss and decide. And I just want to make sure that we're all clear on the understanding that we are doing this as the trust. This really isn't related to Royal Crest, but they're kind of doing the same project at the same time, like the same kind of, examining data and marketing on the affordable housing side. So it made sense to just see what they were planning and maybe be able to sort of compare and make sure that, our understanding is the same as what their understanding is as far as our numbers are concerned.
Yeah, there's definitely two separate efforts here. There's Trinity's effort and then our trust effort.
Right.
But they are I think they're very close. They're very parallel. And
I agree. And I think we can benefit off of it. And at this point right now,
right.
We haven't as a group decided one way or the other whether we would, formally endorse the Royal Crest project. And that's a discussion we can have at a later date. The main concern now, as I brought up last time, was the misinformation just in general, not about Royal Crest, but in general about what affordable housing is. And, like I said last time, you hear the comments about crime, and things like that, which it just is not true. So,
and also a lack of appreciation for the need.
Yes, exactly. And a lack of appreciation for the need. Exactly. So, so if you and Greg want to talk, when you guys have a chance, and then, we can bring it up, like I said, maybe have a draft at the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
also I'll contact Andrew if at some point, I guess, to see. I mean, this is partly a master plan implementation committee meeting matter.
yes.
So I can contact him in that context. I think we have a meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll probably shoot for a month from now.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the next meeting, not to give you a chance. And if you're not ready, just let us know. If you're not with a draft or whatever, it's fine.
Don't give me an out like that, Lori.
All right, you must have it done by the deadline, George. And thank you for doing that. Okay, so I think that's it on that, unless anybody else has any questions, comments, want to move on? Okay, so the next item on the agenda was the discussion of funding program to assist residents below 30% AMI, and I was tasked with asking Greater Lawrence Community Action Council about the applications for our rental assistance program that covered that 30% AMI. They have been swamped, and I told her that it was fine if she couldn't get it to me for the meeting. She did email me a couple days ago and ask if we could take that up at the next meeting. So I'd like to just table that for now. The next one, and Greg, you're free to leave if you want. You don't have to stick around for the meeting, but you're welcome to stay too. That's completely up to you. So the next item on the agenda is the application of the Mass Housing Partnership for Technical Assistance and our CPC application. So MHP is offering a technical assistance grant. I think they're only picking 2 communities, right, George?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so they're only picking 2 communities, and George, thank you for your help, and Chris, thank you for your help. We did the application that I sent out to everyone, and I'm planning on submitting it tonight if the board, the trustees, I don't think you'll disagree, but I think we should probably have a vote just to acknowledge that we should submit the application as is.
Laurie, I
I'd like to
think
say
it looks
thought you did
fine.
a very nice job of
Yes.
adding, of embellishing the draft I did. You did the work, you looked up some things, you added a lot more specificity and nice.
I can't take credit for that first paragraph. That was Jean.
Well, whatever, anyway.
Thank you,
And so
Gene.
that, if you want a motion, I move that we send that application to MHP. I guess that's the appropriate motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to second that.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote?
Bernard, yes.
Fitzgibbon, yes.
Christie is a yes.
Lawson is yes. Oh, sorry, George, I stepped
No,
on
that's
you.
all right. Yeah, Kaler's a yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, Valancourt's a yes.
Is that everybody? I'm a yes. Okay, so that's unanimous. So the other part of that was the CPC application, and I just wanted to see if, do we have any basic idea of what we, like a overview of what we're looking to target for the rental assistance program? The first time home buyer program. So we know the amount, obviously, because I just want to be prepared for CPC if they ask me any questions. So I am going to let them know that we are applying for a technical assistance grant to help us, implement this program, and hopefully we'll get the grant. If not, I think MHP will still be a good resource. And then I will let them know that we're working on getting, a draft of the documents put together. But what do you think some of the questions might be that they'd ask? Maybe what income level we're targeting? Does anyone have any preference on that? With CPC funds, we can go to 100% AMI. Any thoughts?
Well, Joan, I was sort of waiting to see if you were going to speak up based on the experience with the mass housing, with the housing partnership committee.
Yeah, one thing I think is, I think there should be a limit on how much they can get towards their housing.
Okay, and an asset limit?
See, not percentages, in money. For example, $30,000, whatever.
Okay. Does anyone, we don't have to stick to this, but I just want to give them some kind of idea. So what are we thinking for a limit? Are we thinking, okay, we think $30,000 is enough to be able to get people into for the first time home buyer program? Or, we're looking at a range between 30 and 50. Like what are our thoughts?
Personally, I I think it should be top 30. So it could, you could say 20 to 30. And $30,000 is a 10% of 300,000. And this, it's probably more condos than anything else that are going to be selling. And that is the average, well, now at Heritage Green, a 3-bedroom unit is going to be selling for $285 this week. And Village Green across the street is probably about the same for a 4-room, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Down behind McDonald's, the average price is a little less, probably $240.
Okay, so,
I think that with 10% down, 10% of the sale price is sufficient.
so what's the, okay, so 10% of sales price, so if somebody's buying a $500,000 house, we would give them 50,000.
No, wait a second.
If they're buying a $500,000 house, they do not qualify.
Yeah,
What?
we're not supporting people buying $500,000 condos.
Not saying condos, George, I'm just throwing it out there as far as, we have to remember that the price point in North Andover is so high. Like, what do our Bread and Roses houses sell? What could our Bread and Roses houses sell for today? What could they sell for today?
May Street,
Yeah,
the ranch on May Street, is worth $400,000.
okay, so that's my point. So if it's a $400,000 house, then maybe we're saying we want it 30 to 40,000. Like we want they have to give us, we have to make it worth their while to want to give us that affordable restriction on the property. We're basically buying an affordable restriction, and somebody may look at it and say, I'd rather not have the restriction on my property. I want to sell it at market rate.
But there's a balance, Lori. Are we talking investing $100,000 in this program or
200.
200,000? Okay, so
Well, 100 from CPC, and then if we see that it's taking off and there's a need, then we obviously always have the ability to add more money to it. That's a vote that we would have to take as a group, but I mean, we have the money in our account.
right, that's not many 50,000s though. That's it wouldn't be a very broad distribution if we went with that threshold.
Right. But I don't want to limit people to a $300,000 home. Like, I'm not saying it's a $500,000 home, but I'd like to look at what houses we already have that are affordable, because the purpose is you're really buying the affordable restriction.
Can we establish it at a roof at 60% AMI, affordable to people that say 60% AMI, 10% of that, or something along those lines? That way we're targeting affordable, lower end market. Help the people who really need it. Spread it out.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm just wondering if, okay, so I don't know, Chris, if you know the answer to this question. Do these programs typically have the income level restriction?
Yeah, I've seen between 80 to 100% of AMI. I don't recall seeing anything that was at 60%. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head in terms of where, what would be affordable to a person at 60% AMI. But for someone at 80%, I think we'd be looking at somewhere between $250,000 to $300,000, depending on whether there's condo fees associated with the sale price. So, if we're looking at something between, say, $200,000 to $300,000, 10% would be $20,000 to $30,000, which I think would be a reasonable limit. This is, perhaps just because we don't really have the data, we started at somewhere at 80 or 100% and see if we could shift lower even for the next round of funds if we decide to put money in.
So, yeah, I mean, the only reason why I'm suggesting 100% is because number one, CPC does allow it. And number two, we had to do that for Anna Street because we couldn't get a buyer. I don't know if everybody remembers that. So, and if we want, and I know what you're saying, Joan, and I do agree. I feel like we're saying, yes, you can be a first-time home buyer in North Andover, but guess what? You get a condo. You can't have a single-family home.
But the median sale price of a single-family home in North Andover, January 2020, was $546,000.
Okay.
Median sale price of a single-family house in January 2021 was $583,000.
Okay. So
I just,
a young couple that just has, graduated from college 3 years ago has no hope of moving to North Andover unless they're planning on, unless they were lucky enough to come out of college with a huge income.
right.
I
Go into biotech.
yeah. So we're not hitting our teachers and our firefighters and our police officers that are fresh out of the academy and, okay.
That's,
No, I know it's a fact. It's a sad fact of life, but I do know that they're, when looking at other towns, they, and we've done this. We did it with Brother Roses. We gave $150,000 to buy affordable restriction, and I know there's some other towns that have done that for their first-time home buyer program because their prices are so high. The only way they can get affordable units in there is by giving them more money because it's the only way that it'll work. But the demand is so high,
mm,
it's kind of sad, but okay. So just, yeah, nothing's set in stone, obviously, until we figure out exactly what our parameters are gonna be, but at least for the CPC meeting, I think, I can let them know that we've talked about making it an 80 to 100% AMI limit for the income. Based on home prices, we're thinking that people will probably be looking at a $300,000 home with a 10% payment from us, possibly,
mhm.
20 to 30,000. We can reevaluate. We may decide to go to 40,000, but at this time, it looks like the condos are selling around 300. Does that sound like good representation?
Lori, when is the CPC meeting that you're aiming for?
Well, I thought they were inviting me to the meeting. I'm thinking they're having another one. There's one this Thursday, but I wasn't invited. I thought I was being invited to the one this Thursday. But I think they're probably going to schedule another one. So, they invite everybody that put an application in.
Right.
They may decide on Thursday that they don't need to talk to us. I don't know. But I heard at the last meeting that they wanted me to come in. But I'm not on their agenda for this Thursday. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be next Thursday. Or maybe the Thursday after.
Are they meeting weekly now? I haven't checked. I'll check their schedule.
They usually, around this time, they usually meet every week or every 2 weeks just to get the applications voted on and recommendation to the selectmen for the meeting, for town meeting. So, yeah, I anticipate probably next week or the week after.
I would just like to say that I think there's a lot of parameters with a home buyer assistance program, and we really haven't talked about them. So I think be as vague as you can with them, I would say.
Yeah, no, I will. And I'm going to let them know that we're in the middle of working on it and we're hoping to get this technical assistance grant. And we do have samples from other towns.
Right.
So there's
one big decision is whether or not we want it to be a buy down. I mean, buy down is where we get a deed restriction.
we have to. I've talked about this with town council. we can't use our funds and not put a deed restriction on. That's
Okay.
why I was saying that it might be a difficult sell when you're only giving them $30,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that puts it in another financial category, which I haven't looked at. You know, the Housing Partnership Committee program was not a buy down. And, well, okay,
George, I just think that if it turns into a buy down program, we'd be spending a lot more money per unit.
I agree. And
But
also the higher the limit is, 100% of AMI, let's say, the more money we're gonna spend.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of trying to strike a balance between the two to
Right.
see how cost effective we can be. And last time we met, I took on the responsibility to look at some proposals and push them forward to this group. So I'll aim to do that for our next meeting, as long as it's no sooner than next month.
If
Yeah,
I
no.
remember correctly, Lori, those examples you sent out for the last meeting, you sent out 3 examples, if I'm remembering correctly. And I
Yeah.
think only one of them was a buy down. The other 2, or no, I think you sent 5. And I think only one was a buy down. The others were not buy downs, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look, but
Yeah, I
I
have
think
to.
the issue is, and this hopefully we can get help from MHP, but I did talk to town council about it. We can't give our funds without a restriction.
Okay. Well,
And it can't be like it was at the last one that the home funds were used for, where if they, sold the property in 5 years, they paid off a certain percentage, a prorated amount. This has to be a restriction that's staying with the property, at least from everything that we've read so far. So that's going to be the hurdle. That's where we need more information and exactly how we can run this program with our funds,
yeah,
because
okay.
stay within the statute.
That's fine, but that puts it in another financial universe than
Yep.
if we weren't thinking of a buy down.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, we get the program up and running and there's no demand for it. We just move on to, other projects.
Well, so to at least continue the conversation, I'll bring in some points of discussion or proposals for our next meeting, so we can think about this in a little more detail, perhaps.
Yeah. And Chris, I didn't expect you to have anything because we told you July. So
Okay.
we just have to be up and running by July 1st. So, but I did want to just at least talk with everybody so I would have an understanding. I don't want to make any representations of the trust that, you guys don't agree with. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm telling CPC, we've at least discussed in advance. And, I do plan on letting them know that this is very, very in its infancy. And so we're still working on the specifics, but there are certain things that have to happen. We have to give them money and we have to put a restriction on the property in exchange for giving them the money. So, and we're looking at the 80% to 100%.
And Lori, if they ask you how many families do you think will benefit from the $100,000, I would say that's to be worked out. That we're still playing with the numbers, and we don't know how many families would benefit.
Right. Well, we're matching it, so it's actually 200.
Well, the answer is the same.
Yeah.
If they ask how many families will benefit, just don't answer that, because I don't think we know the numbers. We understand the numbers well enough at all.
Okay.
Or at least I don't.
Okay. That's fine.
But I do think, George has a good point. I think really the more money we put in per home, the more lower income brackets we can serve, right? Because there's a function between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about a buy down program, that's probably, the money will probably go further, but it'll have less impact in terms of the number. But if we're using restrictions that will last 30 years or in perpetuity, then I'm sure after some number of years we'll have a good handful, if not more, of homes that will be affordable at a lower income bracket or in target. But are we?
What I would say, Chris, is that the deed restriction that I am at least thinking of aiming for, my goal would be to put a deed restriction on like what goes on the 40B units. That the owner, the person that benefits from our initial grant, has to agree to sell the unit for an affordable price in the future. That's what we're buying with it.
Right.
Right.
And, well, so, yeah, okay.
Right. So it's going to have to make sense for that homeowner. Like if we're giving them $30,000, but they're restricted to sell their home, maybe losing out on $200,000 potentially, then it's not really worth it for them.
Well,
Right.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's entirely different financial universe than if we weren't insisting on a deed restriction. Because any deed restriction we put on is going to be a deed restriction that's going to ensure that it sells for an affordable price. And that affordable price is going to be less than the market rate unit. So what is that difference? And that's I don't know right now. That's what I want a little time to think about.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Anything else? All right. And our agenda item, discussion regarding a new chair. So I think Chris gave me permission to put this on the agenda. Do you have some news for us, Chris?
I did. And, this is kind of a continuation of a conversation, I think, Laurie, that you brought forth late last year. Dick had said he had nominated me, and, I said I would check in with the, at least with the ethics commission, to see if this is something I could even contemplate. And I was told it is. Understanding that, if we ever reach out to DHGD for anything, I can't be the point of contact, so it would have to be someone else from the trust.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to take on the role. I think we have others here who are perhaps, if not just as capable, but more capable than I would be. But I'm happy to take on the chair role going forward. With the understanding, Laurie, that perhaps you can help me out.
Yeah, no, I can.
You've done remarkably, just putting issues out on the table for us to discuss, running these meetings very efficiently, effectively. So whoever takes over has really big shoes to fill. But as you pointed out in the past, you're still with us, so I think whoever takes on the chair role will at least have that advantage. But so just continuing the conversation, I'm happy to take the chair role unless anyone else would like to volunteer for the role.
Okay. Well, that sounds
Thank you, Chris.
fabulous to me. But so we can continue this with that in mind and vote when we. I mean, do you guys want to vote at the next meeting, or you want to wait? We typically do. We'll do our last meeting in June so that it goes along with everybody's terms that go from July 1st. Probably makes the most sense to do it from the term. So we can put it on the agenda for that meeting before the July meeting, if that sounds good.
Well, the only comment I'll make is I think we should lock it up as soon as possible before he changes it.
Well, I can also say you can vote and make it effective July 1st if you like. It might sway my decision on whether I will put my name in to be reappointed. My term expires June 30th, but I'm just saying, I would be happy to be reappointed to the trust Board of Selectmen is willing to do that. So, yeah, we'll put it on a future meeting and then, make it effective July 1st. And thank you, Chris. You made my day.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, Chris, thank you for stepping forward. You'll do a great job.
I
Thanks.
think you will. And again, I will be here and, talk about all that other admin stuff later, but I appreciate that. So with that, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll be happy to make that motion again. I'll motion Chris G, effective July 1st, be the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Oh, you're 1 month ahead of time, Dick.
What's that?
You're 1 month ahead of us. She's looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Can you handle
Chris
that?
can
Or
do
do
the
you want
motion.
help?
No, we'll do that too. And then, Chris, I'll make it again another time.
There you go.
I made it twice already. I can make it 3 times.
So do you want to change that motion to a motion to adjourn?
I have the Don Stewart law. I never make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I said,
Oh,
Aye.
but, well, after we adjourn though, can we just briefly discuss the next meeting date?
You'd rather do that than, well, we can discuss it now before we take the vote.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
No, you
What's
don't
the
have to
next
withdraw
meeting?
it. We can have a discussion. Go ahead. Is there a date you're looking for?
No, I'm not looking for any date. I just like to lock them in as far ahead of time as I can.
Okay, so today is the 2nd. So, we want to continue on our Tuesday schedule. How about we say the 6th at 5:30 and everybody can get back to me by, next week and let me know. Unless you know now, you can lock it in.
that sounds good.
6 is fine with me.
Laurie, what date was that?
April 6th,
April 6th.
Tuesday.
April 6th. Okay. Yep. That works for me as well.
Works for me too.
Yep.
Okay,
Me as well.
perfect. There you go, George. We're good.
Okay, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, roll call.
Bernard, yes.
Yes.
Chris G is a yes.
Yeah, George Kaler, yes.
Roger Lawson, yes.
Richard Valancourt, yes.
And Laurie Burzloff, yes. We are adjourned.